Okay, so again, now we will talk about, okay, so what we have discussed until now. So until now, whatever we have discussed is around the origin of Scrum, Agile, what exactly Scrum is, project versus product mindset, project mindset, product management, and how uh, project management fits into product management, clarity on the roles. That's what we have discussed until now. And also, product owners get involved into the product management activities, which is more around the research, strategy, product development, and operations. In the last session, we discussed how a product owner comes with a product idea using some business cases, how to do a market research, how they find the solutions, and then how they come up with the requirements using some techniques like impact mapping, how they break the bigger items into smaller items, user stories, how we come up with the MVP. This is what we have discussed, and how AI helps in those activities. So that's what we completed in the last video. Now, this video is more around that we have identified the requirements, a certain set of requirements. We have also identified that what we want to build. But now the question comes how we have to build it. What approach should we use? Shall we use the approach of Scrum? Shall we use the approach of waterfall? Now, in order to decide this, we have to understand a matrix which is also called as Stacy's matrix or a Stacy's complexity graph. That also we actually use it. Now, what exactly is this graph and what they talk about in this graph? So, Professor Stacy has come up with the complexity graph, which talks about the four zones: simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic. And depending upon what approach might work in what kind of zone is something what we're going to discuss now. Now, we'll talk about Stacy graph, how what it talks about three in elements. The first element is more around your requirements. Then we talk about the people part and then the technology part. So that's how it goes. So let's say this is my requirement part, technology, and then it talks about your people part. So there are three elements that can impact any sort of deliverables. So this side I would say requirements related to your product, its functionality, non-functionality, maybe the requirements related to the timelines, budget. Here we talk about the people part. The people are actually going to work on those requirements and the technology. What technology they're going to use in order to work on that. Now consider an environment where all these three elements are predictable, or I would say all these three elements are known upfront. The requirements, they're agreed, they're not going to change. We are having a consensus among all the stakeholders. People, they're predictable, they're having the skills to work on those requirements, and technology is certain, and it's not going to evolve, it's not going to change. Now, in this kind of environment, everything is known upfront. Now, when everything is known upfront, this environment becomes a predictable environment. And if at all you are into a predictable environment, any plan-driven methodology like waterfall works, Prince2, or any other approach that helps us to deal with the predictable environment, it works over here. Now, what kind of work comes into this environment? First of all, this zone is called as simple zone to work for. In a simple zone or in a simple environment, what kind of work falls? See, any work which is related to manufacturing, construction, or implementation of your standard operating procedures. If your work falls into this kind of environment or this kind of, uh, say, structure, you can go with the waterfall approach. In contrast to this, we are having another zone which is called as chaotic zone to work for. Chaotic environment is an environment where there is no agreement on the requirement, there's no certainty on the technology, and there's no predictability on the people. It's a totally unpredictable environment. So when you're in this kind of environment, you need to act promptly to stabilize the system, use crisis management or rapid prototyping. Maybe you're having an idea, nothing else. What we have to work on idea, we really don't know. Who's going to work technology? Everything's uncertain. What kind of work falls over here? The work which is related to research and development. Now, once you're into this kind of environment, you have to act fast, you have to act fast, you have to stabilize the system, you have to do a rapid prototyping, because then you will start to see some solutions emerging. Now, what is going to work in which environment? What is the right solution? We really don't know. That is where we enter into another environment which is complex in nature. This environment is called as complex environment or a complex zone to work for. This is an environment where we are dealing with a lot of unknowns, assumptions. Here, the solution is actually going to evolve. It's going to emerge over a period of time. This environment is an environment where you need an adaptive approach. You need an empirical approach. Because every time you are actually going to validate your assumption, you will learn from that and then you will act on that. This is an environment where Scrum or any framework that helps provide adaptive solutions work. What kind of work comes into this? This is an environment where you are actually having a work which is related to digital, software related work. Technology, I would say. Now, once you will start to work on this environment, solution will start to emerge. Now, solution will start to get stabilized, and then things which were not known, you will start to know about that. System will go to the market, and a point will come when you start to support the system, and then it enters into another environment which is complicated, or I'd say complicated zone. In this zone, we are having a lot of things which are known, and you deal with a very little of unknowns. This is called as complicated environment to work for. More is known in this kind of environment. You deal with a stabilized system, and you might be having a multiple answers, right answer for a particular kind of problem, because we know the things pretty well now. It's being a highest level of not highest, I would say high level of certainty, and you will be having a very low disagreements. Now, what kind of work falls over here? Maybe work related to change requests, ticketing system. What works in this kind of environment? Maybe you can use Kanban. Kanban can be used in any of this environment. Six Sigma, you need subject matter expertise in this kind of environment. Because more is known with little unknown. So whatever the little unknown is, or I would say little unknown. So whatever these unknowns are there, for that, you'll be having a subject matter experts. So this will help us understand that Scrum is a framework that helps provide adaptive solutions for the complex problem. Or I would say that Scrum is a framework that helps you to provide or helps to solve complex problem that needs adaptive solutions. So now what exactly Scrum is, what are the different elements of Scrum, why it is called as Scrum, is what we actually going to discuss next.